welcome to Epcot on September 7th, 2019 is the last day of a number of long-standing pieces of the park, at least a lot of staples of the 90s that are finally on their way out today. One of those would be Innoventions, which opened replacing Communicore in 1994. Of course, there's been several versions, so nothing of these two little things left are from 1994. These are from the later 2000s remodels. But nonetheless, the Road to Tomorrow, which came about in 1999, is still sitting here. So Colortopia kind of held this up for a while. That was the last exhibit to open, and it'll be the last one to close, well, along with Nanu's over here, which I think survived just because it's out of the way and not big enough to be anything else.
In a good sitting spot.
And of course there was Spectaculab, which didn't last very long at all. It wasn't super popular. I think they just decided to pull the plug on it pretty early. That's been closed for a while. So, and you'll see over the walls, you may remember The Sum of All Thrills by Raytheon, where you could design a roller coaster and ride it on a Kuka arm. And they're all still sitting there. Actually, if we go over here, there's a large hole in the wall we can look in. There you go. They're still there. And of course, the controversial Habit Heroes is right here. It closes tonight. This is it. 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock is the end of Innoventions after 25 years.
Innoventions East.
Well, I mean, it's the end of It's the last of any Innoventions. There is no Innoventions left. This is it. Character Spot is not Innovention.
No, but it uses the same building as all the
Yeah, but this is the end of the attraction known as Innoventions. This is actually it. Yeah. Meet and greets in a corner of the old space doesn't really count. Yeah, basically there were three versions of Innoventions. The 1994, the 1999, and then that late 2000s, early 2010s version. You may remember this wall was plastered with different exhibits and things. Instead now there's just one sign, one single Innoventions logo sign that remains. But yeah, Colortopia and Nanu's, the last two existing exhibits, will close at 7 p.m. 25 years later. The end of Innoventions. The oldest thing in here is probably those lights. Those lights above Nanu's were there.
The IKEA lights?
Yeah, when this was, there wasn't really anything here. These windows had like Disney company history on them, like innovations that the company had made through the years. There was a big Walt picture. And then Nanu's came in. God, at least in the last 12 years, because we definitely covered it on the site in the time we've existed. Yeah, those have been here a long time. The benches are pretty old too, actually. Benches have been there a while. And probably the most people I've seen doing the Nanu's thing. And then this was the House of Innoventions, Vision House, and then Spectaculab was in there also. Oh no. Remy and Emile are out, or at least Emile is out. I don't know where Remy is. We'll go say goodbye to a couple more things we're losing today. But there will be a lot more to lose in the coming months. Mouse Gear and Electric Umbrella, as they exist currently, will both close for remodeling. We don't know if Electric Umbrella is coming back as Electric Umbrella. Mouse Gear should come back in name, but it'll be pretty heavily remodeled. Pin Central will close in January now. We know that. You have until January for Pin Central and I guess the canopy, although I wouldn't be surprised if the canopy vanishes in the time before that. Maybe, maybe not. We are saying goodbye today, the Fountain of Nations, which this isn't exactly the original version. There was a smaller version of this that opened in 1982 with the park, and then in the early 90s they rebuilt the whole thing to be it was the first ever dancing fountain in a lot of ways. Yes, this is revolutionary when they rebuilt this, with the dancing fountain. And that was done in the 90s, early 90s. And then, and that was all done. Let's walk around the back. I'll talk about the stage a bit. But yeah, so this was rebuilt. It's not the 82 one. It was rebuilt in the 90s for shows and so they could do the dancing to the music, which was updated several times over the years. Unfortunately, it's been pretty broken the last couple of weeks, so we don't really get to say goodbye to it. But the stage, not original either. The stage was built in the early 90s for a show called Splashtacular, which was really quite odd. You should look it up. Weird and wonderful is the way I would describe it. The show didn't last long, but the stage obviously did. Yeah, so Splashtacular was a show with Disney characters, but also space aliens. And Mickey and friends were captains of a ship, essentially, like on Star Trek. It was kind of Star Trek ripoff a little bit, even with the costumes. There were weird alien people, and then what was really weird was, oh, actually, here's Surprise in the Skies playing now. The fountains are going to try to dance. But for Splashtacular, there was a weird robot dinosaur that came out of the bushes there and shot fireworks at the characters on this stage. It was really weird. We'll see how much the fountains will dance for one of the last Surprise in the Skies. I don't know if they're even going to try. There they go. Some of them are working. Surprise in the Skies, for those who don't know, was the Epcot daytime lagoon show starting in 1991. Lasted for a little bit until they had an unfortunate accident.
What happened?
Plane crash.
Oh my god.
There were planes in the show, yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, but a really great piece of music, nonetheless. The show wasn't very good either. A lot of people didn't care for it.
So like a Rivers of Light where the score is amazing and the show is meh?
It was different. It wasn't like a nighttime show. It was a date. It had characters and planes and
Okay.
yeah. The area we're standing in now, which is the center of Future World, been referred to by some as, Interventions Plaza for a number of years. This will all be now World Celebration. World Celebration will include Spaceship Earth, the Entry Plaza, this area, the Festival Pavilion, the Imagination Pavilion, and the Odyssey. And then World Discovery will include Test Track, Mission Space, Space 220, it's attached to Mission Space, the Play Pavilion, and Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And then last but not least, you have World Nature. World Nature will include the Living Seas, the Land, and Moana Journey of Water. trail. But no more Future World. Yeah, I remember in the 90s, people would stop at the fountain and just watch for, a couple different sets of music. It was really different for the time. No one had ever seen anything like that. Now we have fountain shows and all sorts of things, even like way outside of the realm of theme parks, the Bellagio, and obviously surpassed over time.
And the Hotel Indigo Anaheim.
They have a little, it's true, even like cheap little motels in Anaheim have like dancing water shows all these years later, but it all started here. And we'll go, we're not going to go into Fountain View or Character Spot, mostly because Character Spot is a line and Fountain View is Starbucks and is busy as well, but we are going to go into one more spot that's closing today that I know people I guess we'll go in the hallway back there too. We should go back there. Yeah. Maybe we should start in the smelly hallway. Yeah, we'll start in the smelly hallway. Let's go back there.
Hot smell.
Smelly hallway. Fountain View, the original Fountain View opened in 1994 with Innoventions. It was mostly espresso and pastries, so coffee and pastries. Then in 2007, I believe, it became Fountain View Ice Cream, which I was actually the first customer ever at. Flashback, maybe it was 06, I don't know, 06 or 07, something like that. And then now it's been Starbucks for a couple years now. Behind that, what is Epcot Character Spot in the 90s was Pasta Piazza, a pretty bad counter service Italian restaurant. And then it became, they tested the waters with character meet and greets with the Epcot Character Connection. And then that did well, so they permanently built Epcot Character Spot at that point. This hallway, of course, began as part of Communicore in the 80s, part of Innoventions through the 90s, and been kind of unused over here since. This really calls back to Communicore, which all these windows were open. So Mouse Gear and the other Innoventions and everything, the windows were always open like this, natural light coming in. When Innoventions came, they decided they wanted to close it in and control the lighting, so they blacked out windows.
I love the natural light.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's kind of coming back. I mean, obviously they're knocking down this building, but Mouse Gear, it looks like they're going to open up those windows again, which is exciting.
I hope so.
Yeah, and then of course this has been home since the Epcot 25th exhibit opened here in 2007. There's been this timeline of Epcot history, which recently got updated finally. I think when Frozen opened. Frozen and Soarin' got added. They finally brought it up to date a little bit a couple years ago.
Most of all, I'm going to miss the light fixture with all the lights that should be.
There you go.
The ceiling, oh my gosh.
Yeah. A lot of history in this building. And this room behind was not only the Epcot 25th exhibit. I mean, it's been a number of things. It's been food and wine festival, marketplaces. It's been all kinds of things. When I was a kid, it was the Walt Disney Imagineering Pavilion in Innoventions, and that's where the Aladdin Virtual Magic Carpet began its life before it went to Disney Quest. It was in here.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's go to Club Pool. Everyone wants to go to Club Pool. We'll go back that way.
We need to stop for the carpet wall just for a minute, though.
Which carpet wall? Like the real carpet wall?
Real
Okay.
carpet
Yeah, this is. No, I don't know if this is original. Probably not.
This is like the carpet in the character spot.
Yeah, I think this was.
This is like the lean wall.
We're leaving. This isn't original wall carpet. We're out of here. No, we're not doing this restroom. Oh, jeez. I'm not putting a camera on the ladies' restroom. It's a bad idea. This, of course, I'm not going back to Communicore history. It's a little before my time, and there's a lot to talk about there. But starting in 1999 as part of the Millennium Celebration, this was Ice Station Cool, which was Coca-Cola's first venture into the space. Which very much the same thing. There was this weird icy entrance with like a snow plow or whatever. I forget what the machine was out in the front. But then there was a caveman frozen in ice. But the inside was a similar concept. You can come and try Coke flavors from all around the world. Now it's a meeting place for vloggers. That's what's happening. But in all seriousness, mid-2000s became Club Cool, that updated look. It was easier to enter. You didn't have to walk through that weird hallway. Look at this garbage can. It's pretty amazing. I'll come up here. Yeah, so mid-2000s, Club Cool came about. They changed all the flavors. And then you may remember a couple of years ago, we broke the story about the current flavors, which, funny enough, was the biggest story of that year for us. It was the most traffic story of the year, was the changing of the Club Cool soda flavor. How ridiculous is that? That was a thing. And now Disney has said it will return in some way, shape, or form. They haven't said where or how. But today is at least the last day of this Club Cool. And we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. When was that story? Oh, October 26, 2013. There you go. Yeah, biggest story of the year was soda change. Isn't that crazy? Real crazy. And for those unaware, they're knocking all of this down. This whole side of Innoventions eventually is coming down. Where this stands now, roughly in this space, will be a 3-story festival pavilion. The bottom floor is an open air area. The second floor is closed in. It'll have various purposes. And then the top floor will be sort of this rooftop park with fireworks views and all sorts of cool stuff. It's a neat looking building from what they showed us at the expo. I'm sure there will be. What was this in 83? I don't know. It was part of Communicore. There was an exhibit in here. Somebody said this was like a robot exhibit. Not the Smart One thing, but there was a robot exhibit in here. Communicore changed a lot. It's not the easiest history to check out. I would honestly go watch. Martin Smith has these really fantastic videos chronicling the start of Communicore through Innoventions and every exhibit that was in here. And it literally like shows you a map of the building and every exhibit that was in here. So I would just go watch that. That's better than me standing here trying to tell you everything that was in this space. Martin did a beautiful job laying out the history of these rotating exhibits that were Communicore and Innovention. Yeah. So we'll be in here. We'll be here to close down Club Cool, and we'll keep you in the loop on Twitter and Instagram and everything for the rest of the night. So like the floor in Club Cool, stick around. Get it?